Red Sox trade deadline analysis. What's next for Boston? 3 key insights from the Red Sox trade deadline. Underwhelming additions. Boston. Just moments before the clock struck 6 p.m. on the trade deadline, the Boston Red Sox managed to salvage what many considered a disappointing trading period by securing a back-end starter. In a deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers, Boston acquired right-handed pitcher Dustin May in exchange for outfielder James Tibbs III, a prospect they had obtained just last month in the Rafael Devers trade, along with another outfield prospect, Zach Earhart. Additionally, on Thursday, the Red Sox made their only other move of the deadline by bringing in reliever Steven Matz from St. Louis. However, these acquisitions seem rather modest when compared to the significant upgrades made by their competitors. Reports indicate that the asking prices for starting pitchers were steep, with the Red Sox's targets, Zach Gallen, Sandy Alcantara, and Mitch Keller, remaining with their respective teams. Some believe that Craig Breslow, the Red Sox's chief baseball officer, could have been more aggressive in pursuing these players. Ultimately, the Red Sox missed an opportunity to enhance their rotation in a highly competitive American League. Currently, the Red Sox hold a record of 59-51, which is a season high of 8 games above 500. And they are clinging to the second wildcard spot in the American League, with 52 games remaining. The additions to the rotation and bullpen have allowed the Red Sox to keep pace with their AL East rivals, the Yankees and Blue Jays, who have also made improvements, as have several teams in a wide-open playoff race. Will these new players be sufficient to strengthen the team for the final stretch of the season? 1. What can we expect from Dustin May in the rotation? The Red Sox were clear about their desire to add a number 2 starter. While May does provide some reinforcement, he is more suited as a mid to back-end option in the rotation. Boston traded from a position of surplus to acquire May, sending Tibbs and Earhart to the Dodgers. Tibbs had limited utility on the Red Sox roster, which already features a crowded outfield. At 27 years old, May pitched at Fenway on Sunday when the Red Sox faced the Dodgers. He possesses significant potential, but has struggled to fully realize it. After undergoing his second Tommy John surgery, May has managed to stay healthy this season, making every start. Yet he has recorded a 4.85 ERA over 19 appearances, including 18 starts. He is set to become a free agent this winter. One source within the team expressed appreciation for May's abilities, but noted that he has a relatively low strikeout rate of 21.5% and a walk rate of 9.5%, indicating that he is more of a back-end option rather than the number 2 starter the team was hoping to find to support ace Garrett Crochet. Lucas Giolito and Brian Bello are expected to continue filling the number 2 and 3 spots, while May and Walker Buehler, who has had a disappointing season, will round out the back of the rotation. There is a possibility that May will take the mound on Friday, as the Red Sox have pushed Crochet, who is scheduled to start, to early next week. Is Steven Matz sufficient to strengthen the bullpen? Matz has posted a 3.44 ERA in 32 appearances, including 2 starts for St. Louis, effectively limiting left-handed hitters to a .179 batting average. While Matz is a solid addition, he alone does not significantly impact the team. The Red Sox could have greatly benefited from a dominant late-inning reliever. Matz has faced injury challenges over the past 3 seasons, but has emerged as a valuable asset in the Cardinals' bullpen, primarily serving as a multi-inning setup man. The Red Sox intend to utilize him in a similar capacity, with plans for him to pitch in multi-inning situations and provide support for lefty Justin Wilson in critical late-game scenarios. To accommodate Matz, the Red Sox placed Hunter Dobbins on the 60-day injured list. Closer Aroldis Chapman is a key figure at the back of the bullpen. but recent back spasms have raised concerns about the team's depth should Chapman be sidelined. Boston's high-leverage options include Wilson, Garrett Whitlock, Jordan Hicks, and Greg Weissert, with lefty Chris Murphy also taking on larger roles. Matz's ability to pitch multiple innings could prove beneficial if the Red Sox continue to give Crochet extra rest as the season progresses. However, acquiring a back-end arm would have provided the bullpen with additional security and strength as they aim for a playoff berth. 3. Red Sox hold on to all Major League roster pieces. Despite ongoing speculation that the Red Sox might trade Jarren Duran, they ultimately decided to retain him, along with every other player on the Major League roster. Could they have secured a better starter had they chosen to trade Duran? Earlier this winter, the Red Sox proclaimed that 2025 would be a different year, with ambitions to contend for the division title. After trading Devers, Breslow insisted that this was not a sign of giving up and that he intended to enhance the team in the coming month. By adding a back-end starter and a middle-inning reliever, the Red Sox did not worsen their situation, but in comparison to the rest of the league, they could have improved. It has become a familiar narrative in Boston in recent years that the Red Sox were in on many trades only to see players end up elsewhere. This trade deadline was no exception. Sources indicate that the Red Sox remained engaged with top starters right up until the deadline. San Diego showed strong interest in Duran, but the Red Sox did not find the return compelling enough to part with him. Boston also attempted to acquire Eugenio Suarez with the intention of moving him to first base, but he was ultimately traded to Seattle by Arizona. Consequently, the Red Sox found themselves largely on the periphery of the trade deadline once again. Breslow is scheduled to address the media on Thursday night, and further insights from him will be available on The Athletic later that evening. Photo of Craig Breslow, Billy Weiss, Boston Red Sox, Getty Images. Jen McCaffrey is a staff writer for The Athletic, focusing on the Boston Red Sox. Before joining The Athletic, she spent 4 years as a Red Sox reporter for MassLive.com and 3 years as a sports reporter for the Cape Cod Times. Follow Jen on Twitter at JCMcCaffrey. MLB Trade Deadline 2025, winners and losers revealed. The 2025 MLB trade deadline left many fans and analysts intrigued, but not necessarily because of blockbuster moves involving the biggest stars like Juan Soto in 2022, or the sheer volume of trades seen in previous years. This year, the buzzer went off at 6 p.m. Eastern Time with a relatively quieter frenzy, although a few trades did shake things up in unexpected ways. Notably, the Houston Astros made a major splash by reacquiring the team's former star Carlos Correa, and the Oakland Athletics pulled one of the most surprising deals by sending closer Mason Miller to the San Diego Padres for top prospect Leo DeVries. Other significant moves included former Cy Young Award winner Shane Bieber, still in rehab in the minors, switching from Cleveland to Toronto, and of course, busy as anticipated, the Orioles and Diamondbacks were active. As for the Minnesota Twins, well, that's a story worth unpacking. So who emerged victorious from this deadline? And who disappointingly fell short of expectations? Let's explore the standout winners and the biggest losers. The biggest winner, Seattle Mariners. The Mariners struck gold by acquiring the 2 top offensive contributors available at the deadline, Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor, through committed deals with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Remarkably, they did this without sacrificing any player from their top 10 prospects. A savvy move orchestrated by Jerry Dipoto, the president of baseball operations known for his aggressive trading style, balanced with a relatively conservative payroll cap until this season. Now, with increased financial flexibility, Dipoto has assembled what could be one of the league's most potent lineups, featuring the top home run duo of Cal Raleigh and Suarez. Since their last playoff appearance in 2022, The Mariners have been close, but just short, missing postseason spots by a single game in the past 2 years. With the postseason a real possibility this season, especially given the wide-open American League, their urgency was palpable. They remain in a fight for a wild-card berth and are closing in on the Houston Astros in the AL West. But wounds remain, notably in their starting rotation, which was dominant last year but currently ranks 14th in ERA. The only real critique of Seattle's deadline approach, their initial goal to bring in a high-impact reliever. Although they added Caleb Ferguson from the Pirates, acquiring a top-tier setup man to replace Andres Munoz might have pushed their deadline into a legendary status. Other notable winners, NTA, San Diego Padres, starting with a bold trade of Leo DeVries for Mason Miller. The Padres made a series of strategic additions, including Ryan O'Hearn, Ramon Laureano, and catcher Freddie Fermin. These moves addressed key weaknesses, left field, DH, and catcher, and bolstered an already formidable bullpen. Their aggressive approach leaves them poised to contend, especially with their deep relief staff, and puts them in strong position to challenge the Dodgers for the NL West. Philadelphia Phillies, committed to winning now, the Phillies added reliever Jarren Duran for bullpen stability at the cost of a few prospects. Duran isn't just a short-term fix. He's under team control until 2027, making him a strategic long-term investment. They also picked up outfielder Harrison Bader, boosting their offensive depth and defensive versatility. New York Mets. Stern's overhaul of the Mets bullpen was a bold move, toning it into one of the league's best. With relievers Ryan Helsley, Gregory Soto, and Tyler Rogers, plus elite closer Edwin Diaz, the Mets' late-game strength has been amplified. They also added Cedric Mullins for offensive depth, balancing their roster for a deep postseason run. Okay, Houston Astros, reinforcing their roster with Carlos Correa, Jesus Sanchez, and Ramon Urias. They fortified their lineup with versatility and power. Correa's return is particularly noteworthy. His production in 2025 has been modest, but his previous season's stellar numbers suggest he could be a key difference maker down the stretch. The shocking trade of Miller for Leo DeVries could be a franchise-altering move if DeVries fulfills expectations. At just 18, he's already impressing in High A, and many believe he has the potential to become a regular star. Though not making headline-grabbing splashes like some years, the Yankees bolstered their depth with solid pickups, Ryan McMahon, Ahmed Rosario, and David Bednar among them. While they didn't land the biggest names, the proof will be in whether these additions close the gap against division rivals like Toronto. Now for the biggest disappointment, the Minnesota Twins. For Twins fans, this deadline was tough to swallow. Losing 9 key players, including Carlos Correa, Jarren Duran, Harrison Bader, and several others, signaled an alarming message. The team is entering a rebuilding phase that feels more like a retreat. Many of those players were vital to their recent success, and their departure raises questions about the organization's commitment to winning now. While some of these moves, such as Bader and Castro, were driven by upcoming free agency, the collective message seems to be caution, or even indifference toward contending this season. The Twins currently sit 5.5 games out of a wild card spot, and with their roster decimated, a quick turnaround seems unlikely. Their farm system remains underwhelming, with promising prospects like 18-year-old catcher Eduardo Tate still years from the majors. The lingering concern is whether this signifies a broader strategic shift towards frugality and profit, similar to other small-market teams like the Rays or Pirates, rather than a genuine pursuit of postseason glory. And the rest? Other clubs like the Chicago Cubs and Boston Red Sox had subdued deadlines, opting for minimal impact moves rather than bold upgrades. The Reds' acquisitions, while interesting, are viewed more as long-term bets rather than immediate fixes, coupled with questionable fits like Ke'Bryan Hayes and Zach Littell. Detroit, despite a sizable infusion of pitching talent, played it safe in a division where rivals all made cautious or no moves at all. Meanwhile, the Milwaukee Brewers, arguably the best team in baseball this season, didn't make many big-deal moves, but remain contenders simply through solid existing talent, highlighted by their recent additions like Brandon Woodruff and Jacob Misiorowski. All in all, this deadline reflected a landscape where some teams went all in, others played it safe, and a few, like the Twins, appeared to accept a period of transition or retrenchment. Do you agree with the big winners, or feel some teams left opportunities on the table? What do you think about the Twins' strategy? A sign of a rebuilding future, or just misfortune? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This is a debate worth having. MLB trade deadline recap. Winners, losers, and snoozers of 2025. Have you ever found yourself hooked on a show that initially seemed dull, only to become so engrossed that you lost track of time? You're binge-watching episodes, diving into online forums, dissecting theories, and suddenly, poof, it's over. You sit there, exhausted, realizing how much energy you've poured into it. That's precisely how this year's MLB trade deadline felt for those of us tracking every move. It started slow, almost painfully so, but turned into a whirlwind in the final stretch. Suddenly, Nason Miller is donning Padres gear, Shane Bieber is a Blue Jay, David Bednar joins the Yankees, and Carlos Correa has circled back to the Astros once again. The dust has settled, leaving fans and analysts alike to sort through what just happened. Now, it's time to categorize all 30 teams into one of three groups: winners, losers, and snoozers. Sounds simple, right? But here's where it gets controversial. Who decides what constitutes success at the deadline? Let's dive in and see if we can spark some debate. Winners, Baltimore Orioles. It feels strange to call the Orioles winners after such a disappointing season, especially considering their World Series aspirations at the start. Yet, when push came to shove, Baltimore's front office made decisive moves, cashing in on pending free agents with calculated precision. General Manager Mike Elias executed trades designed to benefit the team in future seasons, even if it meant tearing down much of the current roster. While it might be tough to label a club that dismantled its core as winners, give them credit for not hesitating to act when the writing was on the wall. This kind of clarity could set the stage for a resurgence in years to come. Or will it? Only time will tell. Colorado Rockies. Let's take a moment to applaud the Rockies, who finally embraced the art of selling, a rarity for a franchise often criticized for its reluctance to rebuild. Sure, it shouldn't earn bonus points for doing what rebuilding teams are supposed to do. But let's not undersell the significance of this shift. Trading away Ryan McMahon, Jake Bird, and Tyler Kinley netted them promising prospects like Rock Riggio, a name that sounds like it belongs in a Scooby-Doo episode about baseball legends. Whether or not these young talents pan out, the mere fact that Colorado acted decisively lands them squarely in the winners column. Houston Astros. Picture this. It's late 2021, and Carlos Correa is the epitome of a superstar, a Gold Glove winner, an MVP candidate, and a cornerstone of Houston's championship run. Fast forward to today, and his journey has been anything but linear. Between one-year deals, failed physicals, injuries, and a multi-year contract, Correa's career has taken more twists than a mystery novel. Now, he's back where it all began, with the Astros. No less, and his addition feels like a calculated gamble. With the Twins covering $30 million of his salary, Houston gets a familiar face without breaking the bank. Is this the missing piece for a team already exceeding expectations? We'll soon find out. Kansas City Royals. While many teams chased splashy headlines, the Royals quietly strengthened their roster with smart, incremental moves. They locked up starter Seth Lugo rather than trading him, added outfield depth with Randall Grichuk, and Mike Yastrzemski reunited with utility infielder Adam Frazier and acquired 3 major league arms for catcher Freddie Fermin and 2 minor leaguers. These aren't flashy acquisitions, but they position Kansas City to compete in the near future. Sometimes subtlety wins the day. New York Mets. David Stearns played chess while others played checkers, snatching up elite rental relievers Ryan Helsley and Tyler Rogers without mortgaging the farm system. And let's not forget Cedric Mullins, brought in on deadline day to bolster the outfield. Could losing Drew Gilbert or Blade Tidwell sting later? Possibly. But with owner Steve Cohen's seemingly bottomless wallet, gaps can always be filled. For now, the Mets look closer than ever to becoming the East Coast Dodgers, a vision fueled by a robust minor league pipeline aimed at October glory. Philadelphia Phillies' Dave Dombrowski knows how to make a statement. Need proof? Look no further than the acquisition of Jarren Duran. Arguably the best reliever in baseball since 2022, Duran gives Philadelphia the dominant closer it desperately needed, complementing an already stellar starting rotation and veteran-laden lineup. By protecting top prospects Andrew Painter and Aiden Miller, Dombrowski proved he can balance immediate needs with long-term planning. Was this the perfect deadline? Maybe. Maybe not. What do you think? San Diego Padres, AJ. Preller doesn't operate like your typical GM. He's more like a magician pulling rabbits out of hats. His latest trick? Landing Mason Miller in exchange for DeVries, one of the premier prospects in the game. Preller's relentless pursuit of improvement has become legendary, and this deadline was no exception. Sure, critics may question the sustainability of his strategy, but there's no denying the impact it has had on San Diego's roster. Love him or hate him, Preller keeps delivering. Losers, Arizona Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks followed the playbook for rebuilding teams, trading away key contributors like Merrill Kelly and Eugenio Suarez for future assets. However, the elephant in the room is whether Arizona should even be rebuilding. Unlike the Angels, who were at least attempting to contend, the D-backs seem stuck in limbo. Did they miss an opportunity to maximize value by waiting until after the season to deal impending free agents? Perhaps. Either way, their conservative approach raises eyebrows. Chicago Cubs. For a team with serious postseason aspirations, the Cubs' deadline activity, or lack thereof, was baffling. Instead of landing a frontline starter, they settled for veterans like Michael Soroka and Taylor Rogers. Their failure to address glaring holes in the lineup and bullpen suggests a puzzling level of complacency. Are they confident in their current roster or simply unwilling to pay the price for upgrades? Fans deserve answers. And this is the part most people miss. In the world of MLB deadlines, standing pat can sometimes hurt more than taking risks. Where does your favorite team fall in this spectrum? Sound off in the comments.